Welcome to the Stainless Souls Podcast, brought to you by the Realization of Stainless Souls, a come-as-you-are church of recovery, discovery, and all religions. Today is episode 14. Hey, young lady, you can relax. Recently, a person from my past, my very distant past, has reemerged as a part of my life. And in becoming reacquainted, we've had several conversations, and because basically the last time we really spoke in any depth, we were kids ourselves. And now we have our own children and our own nieces and our own nephews. And in particular, this person has a pair of nieces who are just now entering double digits, so somewhere between 10 and 15 years old, and perhaps 6th and 9th grade. And if you can remember that time, you know how very, very difficult it was to be a part of the crowd or the peer group that we ran with while attempting to, and probably more often struggling to, retain some semblance of the moral values and beliefs that we had been taught by our parents and other adults up until that point. And I don't think there's any one of us now in middle age that can look back at that part of our life and say definitively that that was easy and I knew what was going on. I think another issue is that with the nature of a 24/7 multimedia environment that our children are growing up in, it is much more likely that children of this generation are influenced more by what happens on their phone or their computer or even the television than they are what happens at the kitchen table or at church. And I think that that's true primarily because of the amount of time that children are alone with their devices relative to the time that children are with positively influencing adults. So it became a point of a conversation that I had recently with this person who reemerged in my life and has inspired me in several ways already. But it's more, this podcast is more designed to address some of the issues that she told me young ladies were having, and particularly that, her nieces were really trying to be good, wholesome kids in what at times can be a rather difficult and filthy environment. So with that inspiration, I wrote a very brief outline of this podcast, and I wanted to publish it for their benefit, and hopefully some of you and yours will be able to benefit from it as well. So this is really the beef, and it's called, Hey Young Lady, Relax. Beauty is not something that can be painted on your face. Beauty is what shines through your expressions as you react to the majesty of God's creation and the people in it with you. Love is not something that you say to your parents or that burns deeply within you when you walk by your crush at school. And it is certainly not something that you give or receive with your body. Love is your deep acknowledgement of God's actual presence in all people and all things you interact with daily. Courage is not a willingness to experiment with risky behavior when adults aren't looking. Courage is living your life in accordance with your beliefs and values, regardless of the outer consequences, the judgments of your peer group or the outer world. Strength is not, quote, standing up, quote, for yourself when faced with confrontation with peers or parents on the outside, but rather strength is protecting the virtue of your innermost self, no matter how enormous the challenge or the temptation may seem at the time. Character is not a set of personality traits that people learn to identify you by. Character is the combination of courage and strength that enables you to project the beautiful truth about yourself to the world, and to continue to project that beauty despite any criticism that you might receive. Wisdom is not knowing more than everyone else and projecting your superiority upon others through lectures, but rather wisdom is a loving willingness to listen to the failures of others with total acceptance, total empathy. Rarely do you have to project any of your knowledge upon any person in your life until you're invited to do so. Success is not living up to the expectations placed upon you from that moment in the labor and delivery room when the doctor said, quote, "It's a girl," quote, but rather an authentic attempt to find that sacred purpose that God hid deep within you. And then once you discover that purpose, using all of your faculties to satisfy that purpose. My young, beautiful friend, don't waste one more minute of your life thinking of yourself as a person who must conform to a world that has lost its way. Instead, recognize yourself as a perfect and beautiful reflection of God's image, placed here by her with a purpose. Find that purpose, and then let the love, life, and light of God within you empower you and those around you to accomplish the only thing you must in order to be successful. God's purpose for you, which is simply finding her within you and becoming willing to allow her to be your best friend so you can relax. Because if you allow her to become your best friend, she'll be more than willing to take care of everything else. Remember, there's a part of you that is incorruptible, immortal, invulnerable, and stainless. Stainless souls, each and every one of us.